Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be going over the 8 different types of RVs and campers. Now there's a lot of people that are just starting out getting into RVs and campers, and they just want to know a little bit more information about each type so that they know which is the right type for them. For our 2 main categories, you're going to have drivables and towables. For your drivables, you're going to have Class A, Class B, and Class C. And in the towables, you're going to have fifth wheels, travel trailers, toy haulers, pop-up campers, and teardrop campers. Now when it comes to drivables, there's going to be several things that are positive and negative about all of them, and that is that one, the main positive is that they are drivable, so you can hop in them and take off. But with that comes a negative. If you want to take off and go to the store or anything like that, when you're at the campsite, that means you're going to have to load everything up and drive away. Either that, or you're going to have to pull a vehicle behind you to get to the store. Our Class A is going to be different from our B and C because it's going to be our largest category, meaning that it's going to be biggest in size. With that, you're going to get a panoramic window on the front, which if you've ever ridden on a charter bus, it's going to have the same type of view. You're going to be able to see much more if you're driving and wanting to do sightseeing while you're driving. The panoramic window is going to be a great feature that you'll love. Another feature that comes on Class A's is you're going to have a very, very vast underbelly storage because of the RV's chassis. They have to lift the floor of the camper itself, so that's where you get all that underbelly storage to store all that camping gear. Now, some of the negatives about a Class A is that it is going to be on the higher end of the price range unless you were to find one that's used. You may be able to get it down in that lower price range. Another one is that some campgrounds will not allow you to have Class A's if they're up to a certain size, like your big 50-foot diesel pushers. There's a lot of campsites that don't like you to have either that weight or that length in their campsites. Next up is going to be our Class B's. Our Class B is going to be the van platform that the back of the van has been outfitted to look like the inside of a camper. Now the pros to a Class B are going to be that it's going to be smaller than a Class C or a Class A, so it's going to be very, very easy to maneuver it in various different places wherever you decide to go. Along with that, that means it's going to be easier to pack it up, so you're not necessarily going to have to flat tow a car behind you. You just pack up your van and take it to where you need to go, whether that's groceries or sightseeing or anything like that. The other pro is that they're going to be less expensive than some of the Class C's and definitely some of the Class A's. Then when it comes to the cons, it's going to be pretty obvious, but you're going to sacrifice a lot of space on the inside because you're getting that smaller platform in an RV. Now for our Class C's, they're going to be most notable by the cab over design. That is, our camper sits on top of a truck chassis or a van chassis, and it's going to drive just like a regular van would, just maybe a little bit longer. So some of our positives are exactly that. It's going to drive like a regular car. They're typically going to be smaller in stature compared to that of a Class A, so you're going to be able to maneuver a little bit better on country roads or even through a campground and getting it back into place. And you're going to be allowed in more campgrounds too because it's smaller. And then it's also going to have the self-contained storage, just not nearly as much as a Class A would. The other thing is that your turning radius is not going to be nearly as tight as a Class A, because with a Class A, you sit on top of the axle, and with a Class C, you're sitting behind the axle, just like in a truck or a van. Our first category is going to be fifth wheels. It's going to be the largest out of all of our categories, usually in length and definitely in height. It's going to be defined by the design of how it hooks up in the bed of your truck. It's going to create another connection so that gives you a tighter turning radius when parking it. Some of the pros of having a fifth wheel is going to be that it's going to be more stable going down the road. It's going to be, you're going to have a lot more space inside because they're usually larger in stature, and it's going to have a tighter turning radius, like we said, to be able to back into those campsites if you have a tighter angle. Now the downsides of having a fifth wheel is that one, you are going to have a truck. And with that, the fifth wheel is going to take up a little bit of that bed space. So if you were pulling a travel trailer with a truck, you'd have a full open bed. And the other thing is, it is going to be usually the heavier option, so your gas mileage is not going to be nearly as good if you're using the same setup pulling a lighter trailer. Now here we have a toy hauler. This happens to be a fifth wheel toy hauler, but there's also travel trailer toy haulers. Essentially, all it's gonna be is a fifth wheel or a travel trailer with a rear door that turns into a ramp so that you can take your toys with you on your trips. And another pro is when you're not using it as a ramp, it attaches to cables and you can use it as a elevated deck. The con to a toy hauler is that it's gonna weigh significantly more than if you were to just get the same model but in a standard fifth wheel or a standard travel trailer. Next up is gonna be a travel trailer. Now the pros of our travel trailer is that the first one being that you can pull it with virtually any vehicle as long as the vehicle is rated to tow the weight of the travel trailer, because it's going to tow from the bumper. With that being said comes our second pro. If you are pulling it with a truck, you're going to get that bed space back that you would have taken up with a fifth wheel. With the space on the inside of these comes our third pro. As you can see, they're very long, or they can be very long, and that's gonna give you lots of different places to sleep and be able to take lots of people on your camping trips with you. Now for our con is that you are gonna have to set up and tear down everything on the outside as you would with a fifth wheel. It's just some of the things on a travel trailer are not as automated as what our fifth wheel accessories are gonna be. Pop-up campers. The benefits of a pop-up camper is that it's going to be smaller in size when you're towing it, but when you get to the campsite, you're going to be able to expand it out to a much larger surface area to be able to hang out inside, sleep a lot more people than, say, a teardrop camper or a small travel trailer. Another pro to a pop-up camper is that you're going to be able to tow it with a lot of different vehicles because it is still small. A benefit that the pop-up camper has over, say, a teardrop camper is that a lot of pop-ups will have maybe a shower on the inside, a toilet, or a sink. That's all going to depend on the size of pop-up that you're looking at, that it may or may not have those accessories on the inside. A con to a pop-up is that out of all the campers that we're talking about today, it's probably going to take the most setup because it is a sort of a modular system to get it expanded up and folded out. Teardrop campers are a great option if you're looking for something small in stature and you still want the accommodations that you can get with a camper. The benefits of a teardrop are going to be that it is small, it's very maneuverable, you can tow it with almost any vehicle that has a weight capacity of the size of a teardrop, but typically they're pretty light. So lots of different vehicles can tow it. And one of the biggest benefits is that you can get a lot of them in an off-road package like this one has. So you can take it up in the mountains, you can take it off-road and go many different places with it. The downside of it is that it is so small and that you don't have hardly any room indoors to hang out if you have inclement weather. Like on this one, the only thing inside is a bed and maybe a little bit of storage for some gear or your clothes, and then it has a kitchen on the back side. So they're very easy to maneuver, but they don't supply you with a whole lot of space. Well guys, hopefully this information helped you to find out what might be the right type of RV for you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.